Major Newscast.
Good evening, I am Tammy Reed in with your VON Major News package for today, Tuesday, 11th December 2018. In our lead stories, nationally, one person in custody in relation to shooting incident over the weekend. And Wednesday, December 12th, Budget Day here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Regionally, imposter steals money from Caribbean Airlines at Trinidad Airport. Internationally, United Nations appeals for Syrian refugee support. And in sports, England name unchanged test squad for tour of West Indies. We'll have the details to these and other stories after this message.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse.
Wrong.
Welcome back, and now the national news in detail. In police news, one person is in police custody and another is being sought in relation to a recent shooting incident in Nevis. Police here on Nevis have disclosed that someone is currently in custody assisting with investigations into the matter, and they are looking for a second person of interest. At about 10:45 p.m. on Friday, December 8th, Carlisle Bingi Pemberton was shot and injured at his home in Montpelier during what police have ruled as a robbery. Reports say he was opening a gate at his home in order to park his jeep in the yard when he was attacked by two armed assailants. He was wounded in both legs by a single bullet. A number of personal items were taken from him by the assailants before they fled the scene in his motor jeep. Police later recovered Pemberton's vehicle in the Bath Village area. Still in more police news, reports reaching the VON News line have revealed that a man who escaped from prison custody earlier today, December 11th, has turned himself in less than 24 hours after escaping. According to reports, Romeo Boncom Cannonier reportedly escaped from prison custody and was last seen in the Limekeel area near the headquarters of the National Emergency Management Agency in St. Kitts. Back in 2007, Cannonier was tried and convicted of the murder of a police officer and is serving a life sentence at Her Majesty's Prison. Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, will deliver his fourth budget address in the National Assembly on December 12th. Prime Minister Harris will present the draft estimates for 2019 as laid out in the Appropriation 2019 Bill 2018. That sitting of the National Assembly will commence at 10 a.m. The 2018 budget session will seek parliamentary approval for a total expenditure of approximately $773 million, which represents a 10% increase over the 2018 expenditure figure. The draft estimates will allow for the financing of the activities of the state that will bring benefits to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, including improving healthcare services, providing quality education, enhancing safety and security, as well as upgrading public infrastructure. The budget comes following the announcement of the payment of an extra month's wage, popularly known as a double salary, in December to all civil servants, as well as the decision to reinstate the annual December holiday pay for government auxiliary employees, formerly known as non-establishment workers. The government of St. Kitts and Nevis, in collaboration with the Republic of China, Taiwan, hosted a side event branded Community-Based Adaptation in Islands, Recycling Plastic to Mitigate Climate Change on Tuesday, December 4th. The event was part of an activity of the 24th Conference of the Parties, COP24, currently being held in Poland. St. Kitts and Nevis is represented by Conservation Officer Cheryl Jeffers and Environmental Education Officer Darian Ed Mead. The conference, which began on December 2nd and ends on December 14, 2018, is being hailed as Paris 2.0 and the most important conference of the parties since COP21 2015, where the Paris Agreement was adopted. The Paris Agreement entered into force on November 4, 2016, and at this conference, parties are expected to complete the mandate agreed in 2016 to adopt the rules, modalities, and procedures necessary for its implementation. The session examined the partnership schemes in islands that can help to build resilience of ecosystems through community awareness and livelihood sustainability recycling programs. The faith in the healthcare system in St. Kitts has taken a nosedive, so says Chairman of the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, SKNLP, Dr. Terence Drew. According to Dr. Drew, hospitals in St. Kitts do not have enough staff to operate effectively.
Our hospitals and our health centers have been under-resourced. For example, the health center in Sadlers does not have a refrigerator for over a year now, and the nurses have to store their insulin in the fridge of a neighbor. And this is not exaggeration. Outpatient waiting time have increased astronomically. How many persons complain that when they go to the hospital, they have to wait hours upon hours to see a doctor?
He also referred to incidents that have occurred in the recent times.
The confidence in our healthcare system has plummeted as a result of all of this. The system has been rocked also by immoral, unethical research, human-based research projects. For example, I'm speaking of the stem cell, that scandal that rocked the Caribbean, and the herpes vaccine scandal. Still, we are waiting on the investigation for that. We cannot continue like this, and we certainly have no confidence in the persons who are there.
Chairman of the SKNLP, Dr. Terence Drew. Almost 2 weeks ago at the party's conference, he said that if the party wins the next general elections, they will implement a new next-generation universal healthcare system, which includes a national health insurance plan and a new hospital which will better provide for the people of the Twin Island Federation. 4 children who qualified for financial support were selected from the Charles E. Mills Secondary and Clarence Fitzroy Branch College to receive transitional scholarships during the 4th annual breakfast with the Deputy Prime Minister. The first annual Honorable Sean K. Richards Constituency 5 Empowerment Award 2018 scholarship recipients were issued their awards at the Ocean Terrace Inn on Monday, December 10th. The Deputy Prime Minister's annual breakfast is an occasion for the Minister to recognize the achievements of students within his constituency and for his team to encourage students to pursue their academic goals. Mr. Jahashte Rogers of Mount Isle Sandy Point and Miss Jeresia Lucas Warner of Fig Tree Sandy Point were selected for the awards from the first form level of Charles E. Mills Secondary School. First-year students at the Clarence Fitzroy Branch College, Miss Junica White of Fig Tree Sandy Point and Miss Elena Mitchell of Crab Hill Heights Sandy Point were also selected. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Education, Honorable Sean K. Richards, said that the awards are intended for children who are demonstrating academic promise and who are in need of financial assistance. Finally, drivers of passenger buses and commuters will be operating out of a new bus terminal. This as the East Line Bus Terminal located on Wellington Road, St. Kitts, was officially opened on Tuesday, December 11th. The terminal will be able to accommodate over 20 buses, a private vehicle drop-off area, as well as ancillary areas for shops and restaurants. with a greater number of the buses using the eastern side of the island, only going as far as Molineux. Buses will have a separate queue at the terminal, and the buses going as far as Parsons Ground will occupy the second queue. Back in 2017, the government allocated EC $6 million to fund the construction of the facility. That's the national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vonradio.com or check us out at Facebook at Von Radio and our Von Radio YouTube channel. News from across the region is next.
That's right. It's that time of the year once again where your bank, the Bank of Nevis Limited, is offering very low interest rate on brand new vehicles. But that's not all. We are offering a discounted bill of sale and your insurance payment will be covered. So visit us today or just dial 869-469-5564 and speak to our very experienced lenders. My bank, your bank, our bank, the Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life. Like us on Facebook.
If you wanna go and take a ride with me, we be willing in the four with the cozies. So why do I live this way? Must be the money.
Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back, and now the regional news in detail. Out of Trinidad and Tobago. Police in Trinidad and Tobago are searching for a man who pretended to be a security officer and got away with 83,000 TT dollars from the state-owned Caribbean Airlines CAL on Monday 10th December. CAL issued a brief statement confirming that an undisclosed sum of money was unlawfully removed from the Piarco International Airport on Monday, December 10, 2018, by a man purporting to be a G4S security officer. It said the matter has been reported to and is being investigated by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, TTPS. A TTPS report states that around 10 a.m., a man dressed in a G4S security uniform approached CAL's service desk at the airport and said he was there to collect cash in transit. CAL employees then handed him 2 bags of cash. It was only discovered after the security officer had left that he was an imposter. Investigators at that time are using all resources to retrieve the stolen cash, the police statement said. Out of Cuba. Modifications to laws governing self-employment came into effect last Friday in Cuba as part of the policy to improve the legal framework under which 13% of the Cuban workforce operates as self-employed. Such workers or who wish to begin can go to the processing offices to start the process of applying for licenses in accordance with the provisions of the rules approved of June this year, which were modified last Wednesday. In June, reorganization measures were approved aimed at avoiding legislative dispersion, increasing control to avoid illegalities and tax evasion, and reordering the number of activities and their scope, which after the discussion process with the self-employed workers were subjected to modifications for greater precision and to respond to the criticisms made. Among the new modifications introduced are the authorizations to carry out more than one activity, eliminating the limit for food services, reducing the minimum balance required in the business accounts, and increasing up to 35% of the amount in cash that can be retained as a fund in such accounts. Also opened up again were the authorizations for 26 activities that were frozen, with the exception of computer equipment programmers, until its scope and characteristics are specified in the policy that the Ministry of Communications is developing in this regard. Out of Guyana. Minister of Legal Affairs Basil Williams says government will continue pressing the Council for Legal Education, CLE, and other agencies to support the establishment of the Joseph Hines Law School in Guyana. Addressing the National Assembly, he cited the continued hardships faced by Guyanese students in Trinidad and Tobago at the Hugh Wooden Law School, HWLS. Support for the establishment of the Joseph Hines Law School, he said, would remove the discriminatory admittance of only 25 Guyanese law students annually to the HWLS. Guyana has been seeking support for the establishment of the law school for some time now. However, Williams said the call was subjected to another shifting of the CLE's position to deny the countries its right to establish a law school. Speaking on the sidelines of the recent CLE meetings held in Guyana in September this year, Chairman of the CLE, Reginald Armour SC, said a feasibility study did not meet the requirements of quality assurance and curriculum as specified in the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas. The government of Guyana and the CLE had, however, agreed that Guyana will look at the feasibility study and business plan for the establishment of the school. Finally, out of Barbados. The coconut industry in Barbados and the rest of the Caribbean should soon be receiving a further boost because the 11th European Development Fund, EDF, will be financing a second coconut project in the region. Word of this came from the program manager, delegation of the European Union to Barbados, the Eastern Caribbean states, the OECS, and CARICOM CARIFORUM, Katja Sevenson, at the recent Caribbean Agriculture Research and Development Institute CARDI Day of Activities. Sevenson revealed that a decision was made on Wednesday, December 5th, to finance a second coconut project which will span a period of 5 years and will have a total budget of 6 million euros. She further highlighted that the second project will build on the first one, which concludes at the end of this month. The 4-year project, she said, made significant steps in researching regional and global development in the coconut industry as well as the whole coconut value chain. That's it for our regional stories. Stay with us for news around the world. Welcome back, and now the international news in detail. The United Nations is appealing for $5.5 billion to support refugees from Syria next year who have been hosted in neighboring countries. The money will be used to provide education, job opportunities, and other help for displaced people in Turkey, Lebanon, Jordan, and elsewhere. Imogen Folks reports.
Since the Syrian conflict began, 1 million Syrian babies have been born in exile. A trickle of refugees, around 37,000, have returned home this year, and that could increase to 250,000 next year, but it's just a fraction of the estimated 5.6 million Syrian refugees in neighbouring countries. Return is risky. Sporadic fighting continues.
Russian and U.S. officials have been involved in a spat over the landing in Venezuela of 2 Russian bombers capable of carrying nuclear weapons. The 2 Tu-160 bombers landed in Venezuela on Monday in a Russian show of support for the government of Socialist President Nicolas Maduro. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said it amounted to 2 corrupt governments squandering public funds. The Russian government called his words completely inappropriate. The long-range strategic bombers landed at Simon Bolivar Airport outside of the Venezuelan capital Caracas on Monday along with 2 other Russian planes. Theresa May is meeting European leaders and EU officials on Tuesday for talks aimed at rescuing her Brexit deal. She's holding talks with Dutch PM Mark Rutte and Germany's Merkel after postponing a Commons vote on the deal. The UK PM has said she needs further assurances about the Northern Ireland border plan to get backing from MPs. More in this report.
As Theresa May began her short, hectic journey around some of the capitals of Europe, the background music for her mission could hardly have been less encouraging. To applause in the chamber of the European Parliament, Jean-Claude Juncker repeated the EU mantra that the deal on offer was the best and only one possible, and that there was absolutely no room for renegotiation. That leaves the UK to focus on changes which would fall short of renegotiation, and here Mr Juncker offered slightly more encouragement, saying that there was perhaps room for further clarification and further interpretations.
Finally, Thailand's military government has said political parties are free to start campaigning ahead of a long-awaited election scheduled for 24th February. The announcement ends a ban on political campaigning brought in when the military ousted the elected government in a coup 4 years ago. The military has always insisted it intends to restore democracy in Thailand, but the election date has been pushed back repeatedly. That brings us to the end of our news segments. The latest in sports is next. Welcome back. Another sports in detail. England has named an unchanged 16-man squad for the 3-test series in the West Indies starting next month. Joe Root's team beat Sri Lanka 3-0 last month, with wicketkeeper Ben Foakes and opener Rory Burns making their debut. David Willey returns for the 5-match one-day series starting in February, with Sam Curran, Liam Dawson and Ollie Stone left out. The squad for the 3-match T20 series that completes the tour of the Caribbean in March will be named later. England have won only one test series in the West Indies since 1968, when Michael Vaughan's team sealed a 3-0 win in 2004. The most recent tour in 2015 saw the Windies win the final match by 5 wickets to draw the series at 1-1. In basketball, the Golden State Warriors has welcomed back Draymond Green when they open a 2-game homestand Monday night against the Timberwolves. Green has missed the last 11 games with a sprained toe, during which the Warriors went 6-5, winning the last 3 to complete a winning 5-game trip. The Warriors' recent upswing has coincided with the return of Stephen Curry from a groin injury. In local basketball, the Malcolm Gishard Basketball League for 2018 continued over the weekend. 2 games were played to determine the top 2 teams for the grand finals. In match 1, CG Rebels defeated the Eagles. Final score, CG Rebels 72, Eagles 61. Dynasty Ballers 79, CG Massive 75. In the first best of 3 final matches on Saturday 8th December, CG Rebels went up against the Dynasty Ballers. Scores: Dynasty Ballers 57, CG Rebels 56. Finally, the United States Olympics Committee has apologized after a report found that it failed to protect athletes from being sexually abused by Larry Nassar. Former USA gymnastics team Dr. Nassar was jailed for more than 300 years after abusing at least 265 women. The report found while Nassar bears ultimate responsibility for his decades-long abuse of girls and young women, he did not operate in a vacuum. Instead, he acted within an ecosystem that facilitated his criminal activities. USA Gymnastics filed for bankruptcy earlier this month so it can expeditiously resolve claims by athletes sexually abused by NASA. The 233-page independent report into the scandal was commissioned by the USOC and involved more than 100 people being interviewed and a review of more than 1.3 million documents. That's it for the sports segment. The general weather forecast is next. Welcome back, and now the local weather forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis. Weather tonight, generally fair skies with a 20% or slight chance of overnight showers. Weather tomorrow, sunny to partly cloudy skies with a 20% or slight chance of showers. Winds east to east-southeast at 19 to 28 kilometers per hour or 10 to 15 knots. Seas 1.2 to 1.5 meters or 4 to 5 feet. Sunrise tomorrow is at 6:30 a.m. And that's how we wrap up the major news package for today, Tuesday, 11th December 2018. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nationally, one person in custody in relation to shooting incident over the weekend, and Wednesday, December 12, Budget Day here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Regionally, imposter steals money from Caribbean Airlines at Trinidad Airport. Internationally, United Nations appeals for Syrian refugee support. And in sports, England name unchanged test squad for tour of West Indies. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Tammy Reed, wishing you a pleasant evening.
Listening to Vaughn Radio from the Federation of St. Kitts Nevis.
For this Christmas and beyond, Price Busters Limited is offering a wide range of products in their various departments.